Imagine getting a job at the royal palace. Incredible salary, private quarters, direct daily access to the King of England. You'd take it instantly. Now let me tell you the job description. You wipe him. That's it. That's the job. You are the man who wipes the King of England, and your official title is Groom of the Stool. And here's the genuinely absurd part. This was one of the most powerful jobs in the entire English court. Men competed for it, fought for it. Families schemed for generations to get it. Let me explain why. To understand this, you need to understand how the Tudor court saw the king's body. It wasn't just a body. It was the physical embodiment of the state itself. Everything that happened to it was ceremonial. Getting dressed was a ritual with an audience. Eating was a ritual with an audience. And yes, so was this. The equipment was called the close stool, a padded velvet seat, often studded with gold nails, sometimes upholstered in silk. It traveled with the king. It had its own dedicated staff. It was, functionally, a throne, and I want you to sit with how funny that is for a second. So why on earth would anyone want this job? One word: access. In a royal court, power isn't about your title. It's about proximity. How close can you physically get to the king, and how often? Most nobles waited weeks for a 5-minute audience in a room full of rivals. The Groom of the Stool saw him alone. Every single day. And here's what nobody thinks about. What do you talk about? You're in a small room with the most powerful man in England. He's occupied, and it's just the two of you. Every single day, for years, you become the person he talks to. The role expanded fast. By Henry VIII's reign, the Groom of the Stool managed the king's private finances. He controlled the Privy Purse, the king's personal money, spent without parliamentary oversight. He decided who got into the private chambers. He was, in practice, the king's chief of staff. Take Sir Anthony Denny, Groom of the Stool to Henry VIII. He controlled the dry stamp, a device that reproduced the king's signature. Think about that. The man who wiped the king could authorize documents in the king's name. He was in the room when Henry died. He is widely believed to have influenced the succession itself. The position became so valuable that it ran in families. The Denny family, the Norris family. Being Groom of the Stool wasn't a humiliation you endured. It was an inheritance you fought your relatives for. There's a practical side too. Court physicians genuinely wanted reports on the king's digestion. It was considered a key indicator of royal health. So the groom was also, effectively, a medical intelligence source. His observations could affect policy. If the king was unwell, that information was worth more than gold. So what happened to it? Queen Elizabeth abolished the male version for obvious reasons, replacing it with ladies of the bedchamber. The role limped on through the Stuarts and Georgians, gradually becoming ceremonial. By the time Edward VII scrapped it in 1901, it had become an honorary title with no actual duties, which, frankly, is what everyone involved probably preferred. But here's the thing that makes this more than a funny historical footnote. Because the Groom of the Stool never actually went away. The job still exists. You've almost certainly met one. Look at what the job actually was, stripped of the specifics. Someone whose official duties are menial, whose real power comes from being physically close to the person in charge, who controls who gets in the room, who knows things about the boss that no one else knows. That's not a Tudor curiosity. That's an org chart. The executive assistant who controls the CEO's calendar has more real influence than most vice presidents. The chief of staff who decides which memos reach the desk shapes what gets decided. The driver who spends 2 hours a day alone in a car with the boss hears things the board never will. Proximity is power. It always has been. The Tudors were just more honest about it. They didn't dress it up as a director of operations. They named the job after exactly what it involved, and then everyone competed for it anyway, because they understood something we pretend not to. The title on the door has never been where the power is. So the Groom of the Stool had what might be the worst job description in recorded history, and it made him one of the most powerful men in England. Not despite the job, because of it. The thing everyone else was too proud to do was the thing that put him in the room. So next time someone tells you their job title, ask a better question. Ask who they talk to. Hit subscribe. Next time we're going somewhere just as undignified. See you there.